Welcome to The Games Room. Join me, Bastish B, in this new 3-phase series as we start with the creation of my new Games Room, the eventual full tour, followed by the individual episodes as we take a look at each section in detail. So I hope you'll come along for the ride. This is Phase 2, The Tour.
Hey, Bastish B here for 64K and welcome finally to the big Games Room tour. And as you can see, the room is finally finished. I can finally show it to you. It's taken about a year and a half to complete. Didn't really feel that long. I was just chipping away at it. The whole process has been covered in the Under Construction series, right from episode 1 right up to episode 9. So if you want to see this whole process, how I started from nothing to this, then please check those out. So this is going to be an overall tour of all the sections. I'll show you everything is set up and how it's set up and why I set it up that way. In future episodes, they'll be called section tours, and what I'll be doing, I'll be going through each of these sections, like say the Commodore 64 area or the Sega area, and I'll be going through every single game I have meticulously so you get to see every single one, but those will be future episodes. For now, this is just going to be an overall tour. And that's about enough of the explanations. Let's get on with the tour.
The Games Room Tour 2022.
And this is basically what I call the entrance area. Okay, so let's start off with some of the posters up there. I've got those all framed. I'm slowly putting more and more down, filling up the area. I'm kind of taking my time. I don't want to rush it. Just whenever I get the right frame for the right poster, I'm putting it up. A Road Rash from the PC version. I got Parappa the Rapper from the original PlayStation version, that poster that came with it. I got Golden Axe, Nam 75, Dracula movie. Here is Space Channel 5, the Ooh La La poster for the Sega Dreamcast. I got this in the early 2000s. I had a friend that worked at Electronic Boutique. Electronic Boutique is also known as GameStop. It's just simply known as that in Canada. I don't know if it's known as Electronic Boutique anywhere else in the world, but it is what it is. Anyway, so I got that because he worked there and he managed to get that for me. It was like a promotional poster. Also got the Echo the Dolphin one that came for the Dreamcast, which is pretty cool. You can see I've put these LEDs in here, going all the way up there. You can have them change different colors and all that kind of stuff. I just like it for the entrance. And let's swing on over to here. Here are some album covers, and not just album covers, but actually albums for soundtracks for video games. And we got Streets of Rage, we got Snatcher, Golden Axe 1 and 2, and obviously The Last Ninja 2, one of the greatest soundtracks to a video game ever made. And so I haven't just simply framed these, and you know, I don't really like that kind of idea, framing an album and then you don't have access to it. Then it just becomes an art piece. It's not really usable. So I got these frames that you click the top here and they actually open. And you can take them and swap them out and put another one. So basically it's just like a cool storage unit for them, and it makes them into an art piece, but you can still have access to them to use them. So those are just the ones I got up now. I've obviously got lots of others. And up there, just some VHSs I put up there, you know, to add a little bit of spice to the room. A whole bunch of ones. Battle of the Planets, Stripes, Blue Thunder. I've talked about that a million times on the channel. And I've just stuck those up there. If I want to watch them, they can simply be pulled off very slightly and the VHS comes out and I can watch it. Nothing in this room has been designed so they've, you know, I don't have access to the actual thing that I want to use. Here's a few little mini posters I've got printed up recently. A few games that I really like, Night Trap, Space Harrier, and It Came from the Desert. I just like those little frames. And if you look to the side here, I recently got this. I'm actually going to be filling these up with soundtracks to games. But in the meantime, I've just put some books that I found in thrift stores and stuff, or that I own, that I didn't have any place for now. This is actually reserved for really games overspill, like when I've had too many, I'll be putting them over here. But for now, these books will be here. The books are all basically adaptations of movies, like The Abyss, you got War Games, Altered States, there's just tons of them. Jurassic Park, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the original Batman movie, that kind of thing. This little middle piece, this is my daughter's gumball machine. Whenever I got change, I've mentioned this in previous episodes, I give her some, a quarter and she has a gumball, she loves it. And over there, I got a couple of figures. This is Poison from Final Fight, and this is Yoko from an anime called Gurren Lagann. I really love that show. And I got some Famicom games on the side there on display. I got these little stands of Etsy, you can see there. They got the printed family computer, I really love that. And I put a few games on here, just interesting games like Ultima, Mario 3, Predator, Ghosts and Goblins, Xevious, Galaxian, whatever. It's just a bunch that have really nice, cool covers. So let's look at what's down below. Okay, so this little section's a little bit hard to film because it's so low, so I have to get down here. So here's a little bit of games overspill from the main section, which you're going to start seeing. Let's start off with this little bit of a Sega Master System selection. I've got a Sega section we're going to have a look at next, but this just didn't have space, so here's where the Master System games go. I've also got a couple of 32X games here, like Star Wars and Virtua Racing and stuff like that. 90% of these, actually almost all of these Master System games are the originals with manuals and all that. I've got a couple where I made my own Universal boxes and printed a cover because I had them loose. A couple other loose ones, I got R-Type and Altered Beast. I'll highlight two games from this little section. This one I picked up the other day. This is Ultima on the Sega Master System. This is super cool. I managed to trade in a whole bunch of trashy games and got store credit and got this. It's got the full manual, full maps and everything, all minty fresh. So I was really happy to get this game for like a really good price, especially considering all the trash I traded in at the shop. Another game from the Master System selection, Phantasy Star, the original one. This is the Japanese version. Really happy to get this too. I met a guy on Craigslist many years ago, and he was selling import games. I'll talk about that later. And this was one of them, and he had just come back from Japan. I think I got this for about $15 off him. This is the gold cartridge version. This thing's worth obviously a lot more than that. Don't ask me how much. I don't really care about prices of games, but I'm just happy to have this because it's just super cool. And if you look over here, this little selection here, this is my Super Nintendo selection. I'm not a massive Super Nintendo fan. I never had one growing up, so I've kind of collected it just sporadically in retrospect, but I found a bunch of really cool games. All of these were found for super cheap, like mainly thrift stores and at conventions. I only buy cheap games because I'm cheap, so if it was cheap then I got it. This one I actually found at a marketplace. You can see one of my old thrifting episodes. I actually found this. This is the only Super Nintendo game that I actually got in a real box. This is obviously Arkanoid, the second one, Revenge of Doe. And yeah, I really like this. There's still quite a lot of games here, as you can see. Move this out the way. There's all fighting games, scrolling beat 'em ups, some shoot 'em ups there. And I've also got a whole lot down here, some RPGs and all that kind of stuff. And down here I've got a cassette holder I found in some thrift stores. There's two cassette holders, and they fit perfectly for old cartridge games. So I'll show you. These are just a bunch of loose games. These are loose Mega Drive games. This is Shinobi 2. This is loose Famicom games. There we are. Halad. Some more over here, as you can see. Just tons of them. And some loose Genesis games here. Just haven't had time to make some covers for them. That's Revenge of Shinobi there.
Okay, so that's this whole area done. I've also got this storage cupboard over here with a lot of stuff in it, but I'll go over all that in future section tours. Also want to show you these little shurikens I got stuck in the wall. I got 2 of them over here. They're for hanging hats and jackets. I've had them for a while. They're pretty cool though.
And so this is the first part of the games part of the games room. This section I call the Sega section. Okay, so let's start checking this section out. Let's start at the top. At the top there, I've got a marquee for Choplifter, the arcade game. I've got a couple of box systems. That's Dreamcast. There is a Dreamcast in there. I've got a couple of spare ones. There's a real Genesis in there. I've got that little Genesis Mini. I found that Sonic the Hedgehog graphic novel in a thrift store recently. It's pretty cool. Over here, I'll just show you a quick little thing here. These are 3 framed comic books I've got here. These are just random. I've got a pretty big comic book collection. That's just one of the issues of Tomb Raider comic book where it was released by Top Cow. They did an excellent series on Tomb Raider if you're ever interested. They were in the early 2000s. Check those out. This is Lobo. This is issue number 1. This was a re-release for South Africa. I got it at the time, and it's pretty weird for DC to re-release stuff, especially in another country. Anyway, I got this. I'm a big fan of this character. Over here is a 70s Spider-Man comic. That's a 1977. I've got much older comics, but I just love this cover and everything about it. It's super cool. And back to the Sega stuff. So the top shelf here, as you can see, is just a Dreamcast all over the place. All these are Japanese import Dreamcast games. All these. There's a Biohazard Code Veronica, that's Resident Evil. And over here is all American games, US releases. All there, all those. And these little figures, I got a little Phantasy Star Online and Chun-Li and Sakura from Street Fighter. So just like all of you guys you've probably had collections and sold them and regretted it, just like I have. And my Dreamcast collection was sold many years ago. This I got in probably 2010, 11, 12, around that period. I got all of these games. Most of these Japanese import games I actually got from one guy, a lot of them at least. He was a guy that came back from Japan. I mentioned him earlier. I met him on Craigslist, and he had tons of games he bought when he was working in Japan. He was working as a teacher, and I bought, I would say, 80% of these games from him. And there was a lot of games that are worth a lot of money now. I got these all for roughly $5 and $10 each. So that was a super bonus. Even the really special edition ones like the Resident Evil and all that kind of stuff. Also got this really awesome version of D2. It's one of my favorite games. Super cool. I'm so glad I got this. And all this American stuff or US stuff I got about 80% of it in one go, which was amazing. I paid a lot of money. I think it was about $1,000. I got all these games. I got multiple Dreamcasts, every single peripheral you can ever imagine, arcade sticks, the works, magazines. It was just a massive Dreamcast haul this guy just decided to sell. And I got it, and I was just had the money at the time, and everything just worked out. I've added obviously a bunch of Dreamcast games since then to this collection. Probably my favorite one that I added about 6 months ago was this Holy Grail, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Super hard game to find, super expensive. This was another game, just like the Ultimate game down there, that I actually traded in a whole bunch of trash to a video game store, and I was able to get store credit, and I picked this up. And the second shelf here is all Sega Saturn. That's my measly Sega Saturn US collection. It's pitiful, I know. I used to have a massive collection. Now this is all I got. It's really hard to come across these games. Sega Rally is obviously my favorite here. And the rest are all Japanese releases. A lot of these were actually games I bought when I first came to Canada in the late 90s, early 2000s. I just whenever I sold off collections, I kind of just kept the Saturn stuff. I don't know why. I just love collecting Saturn import games. So a lot of these are still my originals. They never got sold, and I've added a few over the years. A lot of these boxed ones, Enemy Zero, I got that at a convention. All these fighting games, X-Men vs Street Fighter, Policenauts, all that kind of stuff. That's Sarah from Virtua Fighter. That little bug thing from Sonic the Hedgehog, little Gundam over there. The stuff I like the most from this collection is probably my fighting game collection. I'm a massive fan of Saturn fighting games, and you can see I've got some pretty decent ones in here. A lot of the ones I really just love. A lot of Capcom and Sega stuff, and these are mainly RPGs and action games. It's a massive mixture of stuff in there. Got all the Panzer Dragoon games over there, and obviously more fighting games over here. Groove on Fight, that's a really good, underrated Atlas game. Okay, I have to take a step down again, so this next section is Sega CD and Mega CD, all up there. And over here is all Sega Genesis games, and there's more down below, and then Mega Drive. We'll get to those. I'll have to lie on the ground. So let's have a look at these Sega CD and Mega CD games. Okay, so the Sega CD or Mega CD was really important for me in the early 90s. I absolutely love this system. I'm a big fan of FMV or full motion video games. I know a lot of people aren't. I don't really care. I absolutely love them. And I got tons of them and a bunch of other awesome games too. One of my favorite games though has to be Road Avenger. This is also known as Road Blaster in the arcades. This was a game released by Data East back in the day on Laserdisc, and yeah, I absolutely love this Sega CD version of it. It's absolutely awesome. Played the heck out of this back in the day. This corner over here is pretty much all just Mega CD games. I got Wing Commander, Ernest Evans, a whole bunch of cool stuff, RPGs, more stuff over here, little Gundam figure. And this is Snatcher. This is one of the very, very rare repros I've actually got. I don't really collect repros. I got nothing against them. This is one I bought off Etsy because I'm never actually ever going to buy this game. It's just too ridiculously expensive. So I just wanted to play it. And yeah, so I got that. These were loose games. I basically just printed covers for them into DVD cases like that. You know, it's just so I can have them to put on the shelf. And all these ones, of course, I've just collected over the years randomly. A Sonic CD, super cool game. I got the 2 limited run releases of this is Rebel Assault limited run. I love the fact that they did these Sega CD games, Monkey Island there, and obviously a bunch of FMV games. Midnight Raiders, anybody? I love that game. It's so bad, it's so good. Supreme Warrior, NXS, like all that kind of trash. Love it. Sega CD, I absolutely love that system. I don't care what anybody says. And let's go down to this one. This is the Sega Genesis shelf. Actually, it's got 2 shelves, both of these, this one and this one. This shelf though is 100% original games in original boxes. These are all original games, obviously. Just some of them, a whole bunch of them, I've put Universal game cases on because they were just loose games. Pretty much all those there and those there. These are all still original cases. So yeah, there's so many games. I got this recently, Truxton on the Genesis. It's a special edition. I think it's released by Retrobit. Retrobit there, super cool. There's a lot of games here, so many favorites. Absolutely love this system. This was the system I basically upgraded from a Commodore 64. I went to a Mega Drive. I didn't have a Genesis. I lived in South Africa, so everything was PAL, so I had a Mega Drive. But these are games I've collected since being in Canada. There's Sonic and Knuckles over there. Got a whole bunch of the EA big box stuff. I love those. The RPGs were absolutely excellent. Might and Magic, Buck Rogers, Rings of Power, Starflight. I've got Shining Force games over there. A whole bunch of action games. Aladdin, love it. Fighting games, Street Fighter, Championship Edition. You know, a whole bunch of stuff there. More crazy stuff like strategy games. And we go down to the second layer of Genesis stuff. Like I said, these are all loose games. I just printed covers for them, all those ones there. I think these covers come out pretty well if you have a look at it. So this is what it looks like. And there. Again, it's just a big mixture of games, action games, and all that kind of stuff. Over here is those are all original ones. I got BattleTech and Altered Beast and all that kind of nonsense. I picked up this ToeJam and Earl also, probably about 6 months ago at a garage sale, fully complete with manual and everything. And yeah, I have to go down even further. This is as low as I can possibly get. So these are all Japanese Mega Drive games. Again, these are games I got from that dude who brought all these Japanese games back from when he worked in Japan. I got most of these for between $5 and $10 each. Again, this was a time in probably about 2011, 2010. A lot of these games that you see in this room were worthless back then, at least online. The prices are insane now. You could never find these kind of deals. Well, you can always find deals, you just got to be lucky, but that was just almost like a 1 in a million shot. So I got, I would say, 80% of these games I got from that dude again. So I'll show you some of the cool stuff. As you can see, just a whole lot of everything here. I got RPGs, Golden Axe 3, Fatal Fury. I got all the Phantasy Star games. I got the Shining Force games, Rambo, Rocket Knight Adventures, just a whole bunch of awesome arcade games. I got the Batman game over there for the original Mega Drive one. Some of my favorites here are the Phantasy Star games. I mean, just look at that artwork compared to the North American artwork. It's so much better, and that applies to pretty much all these games. I really love this small little clamshell version of Batman. Look how small this is. It's like a case for a Famicom game. I'm guessing this is what they were going to use for Mega Drive games in Japan, or Sunsoft decided to use them, but anyway, it's super cool. It's so small. I really like the look of it. One of the weirdest games here, though, is this one. I just had to get this at a convention. I think this was called Mahjong Cop, if I'm correct. It's basically just a Mahjong game, but the artwork is insane. I mean, that's freaking Clint Eastwood playing Mahjong. Why? I don't know. If you look at the characters you go up against, this is crazy. You got some wrestler dude there. You got RoboCop. I mean, what the hell? Look, you got Arnold here. You got a Bumblebee dude. I don't know what's going on here, but it's the coolest, licensing or non-licensing I've ever seen. You can get away with that still in the 90s by just blatantly doing stuff like this. But I just love it.
So that's a basic look at the Sega section, and it obviously spilled over a little bit over there with the Master System stuff. So now let's go into the area that I'm sure most of you guys want to see.
So let's start taking a closer look at the C64 section. So a lot of this collection we're about to look at all over here. This was 50% of it is probably my original Commodore 64 games from when I was a kid. I kept them. That's the only collection I've ever kept fully intact. So there's about 50% of these games here from that time, from the 80s. And the rest of them I picked up in the early 2000s to about 2010 when Commodore 64 games on eBay were absolutely worthless. I got so many games for such good deals, especially bulk deals. I was just buying them like crazy. You couldn't believe how cheap these were. These games are nowhere near this price at this point. It'll be very difficult to get a collection like this, but I was just lucky at the time. I didn't realize how cheap they were, and I wish I'd bought more. So let's have a look at them. This top shelf here just has a Commodore 64 up there, fully boxed. Another one. Those ones don't work. They got issues with them. That one's got some video issue. That's some audio issue. No big deals, but I'm not a repair guy, so I don't know how to fix them. Over here, Spirit in the Stones. I picked that up a few months ago. You can see one of my Opening the Shinies episode. I got that. Some Dungeons and Dragons. C64 Mini. This music keyboard I picked up at a convention in Seattle. I paid $15 for it. I thought it was a good deal. I bought a few Commodore 64 things from them for dirt cheap. Had some soundtracks, some SID soundtracks from the Retro Gamer issues. Commodore mouse over there. So let's go to this top shelf on this side, not that side. So these are a lot of clamshell games. A lot of these are original ones from back in the day that I originally owned. I got some cartridge games over here. I got 2 Epyx Foslo cartridges. I don't know why. I think I got one of them in a bundle, Attack of the Mutant Camels. And my favorite one here is a very nostalgic one. This I got for my birthday in, I think, 1986. I got this. This is Ghosts and Goblins, the Commodore 64 version. This is the original tape that I got for my birthday. There's a lot of other cool stuff. That's also a game from back in the day, my original Spy vs. Spy, the third one, Antarctic and Rambo over there. I've collected a lot of other stuff also over the last few years that I've been adding to the collection. Way of the Exploding Fist was the first game I ever bought on the Commodore 64, so that's pretty nostalgic. So let's go down to this big hulking selection, and like I said earlier, a lot of these are actually my original ones from the 80s. I would say if there's 50-50 here. I've collected quite a few over the last couple of years, and I've been adding them to fill out the collection. There's nothing really specific here I want to highlight besides this one over here. This is my all-time favorite game of all time. This is The Last Ninja, double cassette, obviously Commodore 64. This I got for my birthday in 1987. This was the year after I got Ghosts and Goblins, so this is the original version, and super happy to still have that. There's tons of other awesome games in here I'd absolutely love. Samurai Warrior. There's a collection. There's a lot of bad games in here as well, obviously. I'm not gonna. Summer Games 2, super cool. Desert Fox, awesome. Jailbreak. This is one of the worst Commodore 64 arcade conversions of all time. I had the misfortune of buying this when I was a kid, and I absolutely hated it. It's a terrible game. The arcade game is frustrating and hard as hell, but at least it's like a decent game. This Commodore 64 version should be avoided at all costs. That's no example of Commodore 64 arcade conversions. There's some really awesome ones. I got a few videos on them. Beachhead 2, great 2-player game. Infiltrator, absolutely love that. Operation Wolf's an excellent example of a arcade conversion. Fist 2, whole bunch of other stuff. California games. So that's a pretty hefty amount of games over there. Let's go down here a little bit. This selection, if you lived in North America, this is kind of a lot of the games came in these album covers, which I absolutely love. I'd never seen them before coming to North America. I mean, just look how cool these are. They're not as big as albums or vinyl albums. They're a little bit smaller, but they're just really classy. I just love the way they are. You can a lot of them you can actually open up like that. You can see you got the disc, and you got some cool artwork. The 2 companies in North America that mainly used these were Electronic Arts and Accolade. They did a lot of them. Activision also, Infocom, but I mean those 2 did most of them. Just look at these. These are just beautiful. And I love that they don't take up a lot of space, and they're also just filled with the way they designed. They also show the programmers, every one of them, with Electronic Arts ones, which I thought is pretty cool. They never ever give the programmers the light of day back then. These also, I picked up most of these off eBay, and I picked up a couple from conventions for dirt cheap. A little DeLorean over there. There's just a few other random games. Some good ones there. Overlord, that's actually called Supremacy in Europe. You'll probably know that game. An excellent strategy game. I've actually got a video out on that. The re-release, the 30th anniversary, so check that out. Okay, dropping down again to lower levels. This whole shelf is RPG and strategy games, and below that is a lot of arcade conversions and arcadey games. So let's first check out these ones. This is by far my favorite section of the Commodore section, at least. Massive fan of RPG games, especially back in the day. I don't really have time to play them anymore, but I still love them. Sentinel Worlds. I spent so much time playing this game. I wish they followed it up with the, a direct sequel. It says Sentinel Worlds 1 there. They never got to make it. They got to make another game that from the same guys in the same vein, but it wasn't a continuation of this, which is unfortunate. So I never got to see the rest of the story. I got some Temple of Apshai here. There's a bunch of Origin games, Space Rogue, one of my all-time favorites, some Ultima, Mars Saga, super cool. Yes, some the Gold Box Dungeons and Dragons games, whole bunch of them there. These two, Neuromancer, Bard's Tale 2, excellent stuff. I got a whole bunch of SSR games there, Gemstone Warrior, Questron 2, Road War 2000, super cool games. This is one of my favorite ones on the C64, Buck Rogers, Countdown to Doomsday. This is done by SSR. It's like on the Dungeons and Dragons kind of deals. The TSR was done based on one of their board games. This game's absolutely excellent. And here we are again, back on the floor. So this is more arcadey kind of stuff. And some compilations and things like that. Lots of cool games down here. That's Creatures, Bartholomew. What an excellent game. And let me show you a closer look at all this. Okay, there's a whole bunch of Cosmi games there. Some excellent stuff, Aztec Challenge. That's my original version of Last Ninja 2 from back in the day. Barbarian games. Those Solid Golds are absolutely excellent compilations. More games here. One of my favorites of all time, Possible Mission. I haven't really mentioned this, but I would say like half my collection is PAL European Commodore 64 games, and half of them are kind of NTSC. That's just the way it's happened, and it's just the way I've been collecting them. Okay, so that was this section of C64 games. Let's go on to this big one over here. Okay, so let's go to the first shelf. Got a little Skeletor here to keep up the 80s vibe. Yeah. Over here is a whole bunch of games by Access. This is such an underrated company. I definitely need to do a documentary of them in the future. There's so many great games. Mean Streets is probably my favorite. That's one of my favorite Commodore 64 games ever. Over here is just a random selection of games. Captain Blood, cool game. Willow, one of the worst movie license games on the C64 ever. Unfortunately, I absolutely love that movie. Game is horrendous. Don't play it. Anyway, here's some more random stuff. The Pawn, super cool typing text adventure game, graphic text adventure game. Some more Cosmi stuff. This is a Stunt Track Racer. That's what it's called in North America. If you live here, you know that. But to all us other guys overseas, we used to, we know this game as Stunt Car Racer, not Stunt Track Racer. But anyway, it's an excellent game. I did a podcast on it recently, if you want to listen to that. And this next shelf down, right in the middle here, you just got an overdose of Epyx stuff. I love Epyx. I don't own a lot of their games, to be honest. I got these North American versions, and I've got a bunch of the tape ones, the PAL ones, like Summer Games and California Games. I wish I had some more of them, but anyway. Over here, Cinemaware, one of the best companies ever from the 80s. I got Defender of the Crown, Three Stooges, and Rocket Ranger, all on the C64. I've got some more of them on the Amiga and PC. I'll get to those pretty shortly, and I'll show you what the rest of them are. And on this side is just a whole bunch of games by Accolade. It's another company I did a documentary for, if you want to check that out. It was the first documentary I ever did. It's probably pretty bad now. I haven't watched it since I made it, like 2 years ago when I first started the channel. Actually, don't watch it. It's probably bad, but these are some brilliant games as well. Apollo 18, excellent. The Train, absolutely love that game. Action Simulation, if you've never played it before. And let's go down to the next level here. Over here is a whole bunch of Microprose games. I don't need to explain what Microprose are. They're a simulation company back in the day. They just made some of the best games ever, and I mean ever. Airborne Ranger, I've got 2 copies. I've got 3 copies of that. They're all different versions. I'm not a person that collects different versions. I just happen to get these at different times, and I forgot I actually had one of them, and etc. Anyway, so I got 3 completely different versions of Airborne Ranger, Stealth Fighter Pirates, Red Storm Rising. I got 2 of them. That's my original one from when I was a kid. The tape version of Red Storm Rising, yes, the disc version from the North American version. And Microprose Soccer and F-15 Strike Eagle Gunship, all classics. And on this side is a lot of kind of arcadey stuff. These are games released by Data East, at least in the North America. Most of these were released by Ocean and other companies in overseas, or Elite. Anyway, got Commander, Batman Cape Crusader, Platoon, a whole bunch of other cool stuff here. Some Activision games releases. Predator, I love it. Power Drift and Die Hard. Die Hard's become a really hard game to get on the C64. When I got this, I didn't realize how hard it was to find, but trying to find it now, it's an absolute nightmare. Anyway, it's a pretty good game. Okay, we're going down again, and over here is another 2 more shelves of Commodore 64 stuff. This is a lot of like single cassette games, like these little single cassettes like that. That's Eyeball. If you're not familiar with the UK PAL format, they mainly use cassette, so that's what most of these games are down here, cassette versions. Over here I've got the C64 Mini. So this was actually, I absolutely love this thing, and if you're a purist you probably hate me for saying that, but I don't really care. I've got a real C64 and I use it all the time, but this was actually responsible for helping me get this channel made. In the beginning I was using VAS to record stuff, and until I got this though, even though this doesn't have a working keyboard, this felt like I actually had a Commodore 64 again. I know it sounds dumb, but it really did. And my real 64 was all packed away in boxes. I didn't have any studio, I didn't have any place to shoot videos properly. It was really confined to one little corner. So this was the only C64 kind of thing I had, and I really owe a lot to this thing for getting this channel up to where it is. So I'll be forever grateful for these guys that made the C64 Mini, the retro games guys, and really looking forward to that Amiga one. But anyway, it's a cool little system. Okay, so let's take a closer look at this shelf. Got DeLorean over there, some more compilations, Saboteur 2 there, and more compilations. Max Headroom, I got that recently. Grazor, I'm happy to have that. That's Contra if you're not sure about that. This is Staff of Karnath. Absolutely love this. Everything by Ultimate back in the 80s. Ultimate Play the Game. I just love their stuff. I just love this kind of box. It's like all old. They did that on purpose to make it look like some sort of relic. Ultimate just make cool games. This isn't like an isometric kind of action adventure game if you don't know. There's just a whole lot of cassette games, single cassettes. Rockstar Ate My Hamster, love it. Commando, that's the original one I got. This is the second game I ever bought. This is the original Bruce Lee I got in probably 1985. One of my favorite games on the system. And again, we're back on the floor for some more gaming. There's a whole bunch more games. This is the last bunch of the Commodore 64 games we're going to have a look at. These are a lot of games that are in weird boxes, so they're hard to like store. This is Spy vs. Spy, the original version. Favorite of mine, especially me and my friends. This is a weird game. This is Indiana Jones and the Lost Kingdom. It's made by Mindscape, as far as I remember. Yeah, Mindscape. It's kind of a janky game. I don't even know what to say about it. I just love it because it's Indiana Jones. Anything Indiana Jones I love, even if it's bad. But this is a strange, just got one of these weird kind of album cover kind of deals. Got the game over there, this big instruction manual. More games over there, Flight Simulator, Kari Warriors. This is my original one, made by Elite. That's the UK version. That's the one you should play. Do not play the North American version. It's horrendous, okay? And there's some more games. That's the original John Madden football. It's Commodore 64 one. And just a whole bunch of random stuff here. War in Middle Earth, super cool. Shadowfire, got that recently. And this is the cartridge version of Robocop 2. Don't often come across cartridge versions of Commodore 64 games, especially the ones from the early 90s. I was happy to get this one really cheap on eBay a couple of years ago, so that's cool. Okay, so here we are, finally at the big box PC game and Amiga section. Okay, let's start with that top shelf. As you can see, I'm a big Star Trek fan. I'm much more of a Star Trek guy over Star Wars any day. That compilation I got on eBay from some dude with a whole bunch of other Microprose games. That cool Aliens game, it's pretty rare, it's hard to find that one. It's like a point-and-click adventure kind of thing. And got a Myst, I found it at a thrift store, commemorative edition, Another World. let's go down to this first shelf. This first shelf is awesome. I absolutely love it. Obviously, it's got Star Trek games. Most of these are really awesome point-and-click adventure, first person. You got like kind of FMV games. Over here in the middle, these are games made by the company called Dynamics. If you know old PC games, you'll know how cool these guys were. Heart of China, Rise of the Dragon, and they made excellent simulations. Over here is more Access games. You've seen my C64 Access games over there. These are PC ones. This Lynx I actually found at a thrift store recently with the expansion pack. One of the best golf games ever made. I got the PC version of Mean Streets, Crime Wave, and some of the Tex Murphy games. I wish I had more of them in big box version, but anyway, maybe I will get them in the future. The second shelf has more gold, well, at least what I call gold. Stuff made by Origin Systems that Richard Garriott set up in the early to mid 80s, that period. And I got some Wing Commander games over here. Wing Commander 3, absolutely love that. Got the Ultima collection, some other Ultima games here. Strike Commander, Privateer, Bad Blood. These are all like RPGs and kind of simulation kind of games, space simulators. And over here we got some game by Interplay. This is called Stonekeep. It's got this really weird kind of cover here. Here it is. It's like a pyramid with a hologram on it. Just like a dungeon crawler if you're not familiar with it. And next to that is a couple games made by Bethesda. This is back in the day when they were kind of an unknown company. It's a pretty cool first person kind of game. And I got the other Terminator game there too, Terminator Rampage. And this is a shelf that probably most of you guys will absolutely love. This is games made by Lucasfilm. Although I haven't really mentioned it, but 50% of these games are Amiga games and 50% of them are probably PC. There's more PC than Amiga versions, but there's a lot of Amiga games in here. As you can see, with Amiga Battlehawks, Amiga Their Finest Hour, Secret Weapons of Luftwaffe is the PC version. And as you can see, LucasArts, just tons of their point-and-click adventure games. And here's a whole bunch of the Star Wars games. A lot of these I found at thrift stores. I bought a couple of them online, but most of them I've just been lucky, to be honest. One of my favorite games here, Full Throttle. This actually made me buy a CD-ROM drive for my PC, this game alone, and it's totally worth it. It's one of the best point-and-click adventure games I've ever played. Absolutely flawless. This game over here, Galaxy, this isn't Lucasfilm, it just happened to be here. There's no other place to put it. I just love this little box. It's a PC game, it came out on Steam also, Galaxy. This is just a physical release by IndieBox before they went bust. Anyway, I just love it. It comes with a figure as well, I like that. And we're going to drop down a level over here. This is all RPG games and kind of strategy, RPGs, etc, etc. Tons of Might and Magic games here and Wizardry. Just love all these kind of things. Lots of games by SSR and New World Computing and stuff like that. Over here is more Cinemaware games. Like I mentioned, I got the Rocket Ranger, Three Stooges, and Defender of the Crown on C64, and on Amiga I've got Sinbad and the Throne of the Falcons and Lord of the Rising Sun. This is such a cool game if you've never played it before. This is basically Defender of the Crown but set in Japan. And then I've got a whole bunch of Dungeons and Dragons stuff here. This is some more gold box stuff. Some of these weren't on the C64, so I got the PC versions of them. Got the Eye of the Beholder 1, 2, and 3, which is cool. Lands of Lore. Down here some more Dungeons and Dragons stuff. And yeah, we are going down all again. So this section over here, this is Microprose games. And at the bottom here is all Sierra games. Let's take a closer look at these ones. Again, Microprose just knocking out the simulations like crazy. So many good ones here. F-19 Stealth Fighter is probably my favorite. One of these copies is the Amiga version and one is the PC version. I'm not, like I said earlier, I'm not into collecting different versions of games. I just happened to come across the other version at some point as part of a bundle, so I just kept it. So I got two different versions. And over here is more Microprose stuff. A lot of racing games, Jeff Cramon game, excellent racing game, that Grand Prix. I got COVID Action by Sid Meier, a whole bunch of other stuff here. Silent Service 2, Pirates Gold, what a cool game. XCOM, Terror from the Deep. If you played this one, it's a super cool strategy game, turn-based strategy game. And here we are again, lying on the ground. This is actually kind of comfortable. So these are just mixtures of like Leather Suit Larry, Police Quest, King's Quest, that kind of stuff. All the stuff that Sierra did the best. Some Police Quest games there. Got a whole bunch of Leather Suit Larry games. Got this cool collection. Over here, some more King's Quest stuff. There's a lot of games I'm missing from Sierra. I definitely don't have a complete collection by any means, but these are just ones I've come across. Codename Arsman, that has to be one of the most annoying games I've ever played in my life. But anyway, some Space Quest stuff, which I absolutely love. Quest for Glory, I got Phantasmagoria. These Space Quest games are just epic. I just love the artwork on these two. Here's Roger Wilco. This is the re-release of the original Space Quest. They redid it, I believe, in VGA, just to make them look super cool. Okay, so that's the bulk of the big box PC stuff here. There's still a few more over here in this corner. This section here, I'll tilt the camera down and show you what it looks like. This is what I call the retro computing corner.
So in this retro computing corner, I got a Commodore 64 and an Amiga 500. Also got some old bootleg discs down there. I've got a Laserdisc player over here, which is linked up to my Commodore 64 monitor to watch some old movies. I've got a 90s PC for playing CD-ROM and old disc games. And over here is kind of the rest of the big box PC stuff and loose games. So let's start having a look at them.
So at the top of the shelf over here, got a few more big box PC games. Elite Plus, Chamber of the Psy Mutant Priestess. I believe that goes under the name Cult in the UK. And Second Samurai, awesome action game. And the second shelf here, I got the Seventh Guest. And these are all just loose PC games. A lot of these I picked up in thrift stores. Actually, all of them I did for like about $1 each, or even less than that, 50 cents. I'm really happy to have those. Those are fun to try out in my old PC over here. And on this shelf, a little car from Blade Runner there. Lots of games here. Lots of classic good ones. And got Batman there. And then I got the 11th Hour, the sequel to the Seventh Guest. And some PC CD-ROM stuff, that horrible Rambo game, I just love it. Last Ninja Trilogy, I've got that on. That came on one of the first issues of Retro Gamer. It might have been the first issue, I don't remember. Little Dalek there. There's a whole bunch of more. There's a lot of Sierra stuff mixed in there, point-and-click adventure games. So I have got a few other Sierra games, just not the full big box versions of them. So I like that little corner over there. That's a poster for Blade Runner. That's the Japanese version. I think that's super cool, how to frame that. Here's the PC. If you're interested in what type of PC, it's a compact Presario CDS 520. It's a decent little PC from the mid-90s, and oh yeah, I've also got some more loose games back here in this box, but I'm not going to open all that. This little light I got at a thrift store also. It's pretty cool. I have it over there. Lights up this little area. And like I said over here, this is a Laserdisc player.
Is the thing recording?
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Look out! My daughter comes and throws on a Laserdisc every once in a while. Here we are.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
We're watching.
With the hospitality of the palace.
We have a little sit down here and watch and play. We also come and play PC games over here. Manhunter.
Show them.
We grab something off the shelf, anything random, throw it in and see what happens. It blew up. Pretty fun. This is a whole lot of bootleg games. These are all Amiga games. A whole bunch of bootlegs there. And below is the keyboard and mouse, obviously. And below that, Commodore 64 bootleg games for crazy. These are most of my games from back in the day when I was a kid. This is probably like half the collection. I don't know what happened to the other ones. I lent them to people and they never gave them back. Don't lend your games to people. Don't. They never return them. Just a word of warning. There's some original games here, loose ones that I've picked up over the years, but most of it is just bootlegs. Over here is some more mainly original games. Over here, a lot of Amiga demos from different magazines. There's selection, some PC stuff here. Raptor, it's a cool shoot 'em up. This is more Amiga stuff. Got some Cinemaware game, SDR and stuff like that. That's just another little box there. Keep it over there. Throw them in and try them out every once in a while. And over here I've got an Amiga 500 set up, and everything is set up here that I can just switch them on and they come on to the monitor perfectly. Everything is designed just to work. This, if I put this on, it plays through this monitor, the C64 one. So that's the Amiga setup. I've got a C64. This is an NTSC C64. That's just because I live in North America, and this is just one I happen to find, and it works pretty well. Got the disk drive there. I just loaded up with the Exploding Fist.
No.
Oh. What? I got you. Whoa! What kind of craziness is that? And up there we got some Stay Puft and Patrick. And if you look behind you, that's my connection. I just switch the switch and it jumps between Amiga, C64 and Laserdisc, all played over here. The only thing I want to get for this corner is a nice big pillow, like this big square one, so me and my daughter can sit here and be more comfortable. As we are now, we just grab a pillow off here and put them down, but it's kind of janky. But this little corner, I just love it. It just feels like very, it feels old school, like when you used to like take your computer, like a C64, and hook it up to your TV in your lounge as a kid, or even have the PC like sitting off to the side and people used to play games while other people watch TV. This whole corner is just about messing around with games, just throwing anything in and just having some fun. And let's move on to the next area. This section over here is what I call the pop culture section. So this area has way too much stuff for me to go through, honestly. So this is definitely going to be something we're going to be looking at in the section tours. There's some cool VHS up there. There's just way too much stuff. It's a big mixture of, that's one of my favorite collections of Blur albums. That's my favorite band, by the way. Anyway, let's get on with it. There's so much stuff here. It's all just a big mixture of games, comic books, VHSs, anime, just everything you can possibly think of. This will definitely be covered in the section tours in a lot more detail. That's my Laserdisc collection. All of those are found at thrift stores as well. Some really cool books, some bitmap book stuff, awesome stuff. Evil Dead 2, VHSs, Tank Girl, movies, sticker collections, Dick Tracy, Rocketeer, more albums, video game albums, Centipede, the board game, who knew? There's just so much stuff here. I really want to show you all the little details here on these shelves. There's just so many cool stuff that I've collected, but we'll leave those for one of the section tours, the pop culture section tour. This tour is overall more just about games overall, so let's continue on. And over here in this corner is my modern game selection, so let's check that out. Okay, the section first up here is the Xbox One stuff. There's also Xbox Series X stuff, some new stuff that I haven't got to play yet, but most of these games I've played and I've enjoyed. I don't have that much time to play modern games that much anymore, but 90% of these games were picked up for dirt cheap, like 10 to 20 bucks. Almost none of these are bought original, like full price games. I just don't do that anymore. It's just insane to do that. And yeah, some more down here, mixture of RPGs and first-person shooters and that kind of stuff. The next modern section is the PS4. I'm kind of embarrassed with this PS4 collection. I think I've got a lot of really cool games, but I've hardly played any of them. It's just a system I just never seem to have time for, which is a bit of a shame. There's a lot of good series on this system. The Yakuza, Fist of North Star, I love that. Whole bunch of RPGs, yeah, Sakura Wars, awesome. Persona 5 is excellent. And a whole bunch of other stuff here. I don't usually go for the big AAA titles, so as you can see, there's a lot of weird stuff in here. I find that way more interesting to collect for. And the last of the modern stuff is the Switch section. I just got that Shin Megami Tensei game recently, been enjoying that. I got the Shoot 'em Up collection. There's some more of the stuff over there. Just a whole bunch. Again, I would say 80% of these games I didn't buy full price. That I actually bought full price because I think it's worth it. But and this one, all the other ones were bought at garage sales and flea markets and stuff like that for mainly like $5 to $10 each. And down below is just my little Attack on Titan pillow. This is actually a placeholder. I can put more games over here, so there's actually room to expand. It's one of the parts in the room where there is actually room to expand, which is amazing. My Ghostbusters popcorn from when I watch Ghostbusters Afterlife. And we finished with the modern section. Over here is my glass cabinet I got from IKEA. If you watch the original series, all 9 episodes, you'll know I talked about getting this thing so much until I eventually got it. Let's take a closer look at it. So at the top there is a board game. That's the Goonies. I haven't played it yet. I got it for Christmas. And I got this little VHS combo here. I picked this up off Facebook Marketplace for the grand total of $0. I picked it up for free. Super cool. Put it up there. Have VHS movies playing all the time. Hello Kitty, why not? So this has just a whole bunch of collections of stuff that I like. This is Twin Peaks. This is a whole bunch of boxed Famicom games, and this is a whole bunch of Metal Gear stuff. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at these things. Okay, so this is my Twin Peaks collection. I'm a massive fan of the TV series and David Lynch stuff in general. I got the Laserdisc for the original pilot. This is a vinyl soundtrack for the recent series that came out a few years ago. This is the original series. Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. I got some figures. I got Agent Cooper there, Laura Palmer, Bob, and the weird log lady. This is actually a cup I got from when I went to the actual diner where they filmed Twin Peaks and the actual little town. You can see that in an episode of Loot and Booty. Let's check that out if you're interested. I also got that little matchbook. And I got the soundtrack on CD. Almost all this stuff, besides those things that I bought. And that I found in thrift stores. Amazing, but that's what happens. You never know what you're going to find. And this level, nothing here was found in thrift stores. So most of this was bought online. This was bought when Famicom box games were worthless, and I was lucky enough to get all these super gems, and a bunch of them I picked up at conventions. There's just Famicom here. That's got Kung Fu Master or Spartan X, whatever you want to call it. And here's a whole bunch of other stuff. Times of Law, that's pretty cool. I got Akira. And just whole Goonies, a whole bunch of stuff. Lagrange Point, that's a really cool RPG. I got Maniac Mansion, the Japanese. These are all the Japanese versions, obviously, by the way. Wizardry, I got Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3, Deep Dungeon, all stuff like that. So I just put these aren't all my boxed ones, but this is most of them. So I just love the box art, and the games are pretty cool. And down here's my Metal Gear Solid collection. I'm not some sort of crazy Metal Gear fan, although it definitely looks like it by all this. I love this series, but I'm not a collector of any specific series. Again, this is stuff that just came together. These PSP games I found in thrift stores. This I picked up at a convention, the Famicom Metal Gear. Those PS2s, I got every single version of it somehow over just collecting stuff at thrift stores. I ended up getting all of them. It's crazy. I got Phantom Pain and all that. Snake's Revenge, what a horrible game. Got the 360 collection back there, the NES version. And over there, if you want to see this is David Hayter himself, the voice of Snake. I got to meet him. He signed my Xbox 360 collection over there. I'm not going to open up and show you, but he signed it, so that was pretty cool. He was a nice guy. Another thing, I've got the strategy guide for Metal Gear Solid 2. I've never actually told this story before, but yeah, it's like a good time to tell it. I just didn't think anybody would believe me, but I'll tell the story right now. So in the early 2000s, Konami was having a competition, not really competition, they had a kind of a thing where you could write in and submit your name and your stats, like your when you were born, where you were born, just your blood type, all this kind of stuff, you know, typical Japanese stuff you see in RPGs and that. And they wanted you to submit your name. You could if you wanted to, and you might have a chance to become a character in a game. And they didn't specifically say what it was. And then a few months later they said it was going to be for Metal Gear Solid 2. So I submitted my name and my stats, like, you know, when I was born, birth date, country, South Africa, all that kind of nonsense, and I sent it off and didn't hear anything, didn't know what was happening. And a few months later I got a message from Konami. I didn't keep the email because I didn't think of it at the time. Pretty dumb, but anyway, I had been selected to be part of Metal Gear Solid 2, so I actually am in the game. If you don't believe me, I don't really care, but if you collect all the dog tags in the game, you'll come across my name, where I was born, my birth date and everything. It's in one of the dog tags. You can find it if you want. It's in there. It's in the game. Unfortunately, the strategy guide doesn't give you a list of all the people that are in the dog tags. I really was annoyed by that when I bought that. I thought it was going to be in there, but it's not. But I'm in the game, so who cares anyway? I guess they thought my name was kind of weird, and you know, because I was from South Africa, I might have seen like a terrorist or something like that. That's why I got included in one of the bad guys. Anyway, so check that out if you want to. If you believe me, cool. If you don't, I couldn't care less. And now let's move on over to the handheld section. Okay, we'll start off with this Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure poster. That's from the Atari Lynx version. I used to have a box version of the game. I don't know what happened to it, but I kept the poster, just like I did in some of that other stuff. So I framed it recently to add to the kind of handheld section. These are all my handhelds I've got. I'm not a crazy handheld guy. I got a 3DS, love that system, played so many games on it. PSP, I got a Vita, super underrated. Game Boy Color over there, and a Neo Geo Pocket Color. Fantastic system. I love all of these, but the Neo Geo, the Vita, and the kind of 3DS, I played those so much. I wish I had more time to play handhelds, but anyway. This first section over here, this is more like kind of bigger box stuff. I got some Atari Lynx games. I don't have a Lynx, unfortunately. I used to have one. I sold it. Very foolish. Would like to get one again so I can play those. It's a whole bunch of RPGs, just stuff I like. I got Shining Soul, the Game Boy Advance. This is a Japanese version. I got Corpse Party there on 3DS. Yeah, some Shin Megami and Persona games. Like I've said, I'm a massive fan of the series if you've been watching the channel. I absolutely love those. I've completed most of those games. There's Persona Q, Labyrinth, and there's a bunch of Game Gear games, boxed ones. Believe it or not, I found all of these in a thrift store for a couple bucks each. They're all complete, and some of them are still sealed. Not that I'm keeping them sealed on purpose, I just don't have a Game Gear anymore to play them, so until I get a Game Gear, I'll just leave them sealed, and when I get one, I'll rip them open and play those games. And this handheld section is full of PSP, 3DS, DS games, Neo Geo Pocket stuff, Game Gear, PSP, Game Boy Advanced, Game Boy Color, more PSP stuff. I got Vita stuff down there, more Vita, Neo Geo stuff, just jacked up with things. I just love Neo Geo stuff though. I think this is one of the coolest handhelds ever made. The Vita is insanely underrated. It's got some excellent games. The PSP, I found all of these, I'll say 90% of the PSP games I found in thrift stores for a couple bucks each. That's how I was able to make this entire collection. I don't come across PSP games anymore in thrift stores. It's very, very rare. There was a time when you would just find these things everywhere. As far as 3DS goes, a lot of these are picked up at conventions, or the DS stuff also at conventions and thrift stores. I was pretty lucky on some of these games. All those box games, obviously, those bigger ones are bought originals. Like I said, I don't buy full price games very often, but games that I'm planning on playing all the way through, I'm definitely willing to put a little bit extra money into. Okay, so this is what I call the main gaming area. This is where we sit and play most of the modern games. I've got a whole bunch of big systems set up here. My daughter comes down, she plays Minecraft on my Xbox Series X. I've got a Switch set up, we play Mario Kart and all that kind of stuff. I've got a Wii U also set up, which doubles as a Wii, which is pretty useful. And I've also got a Sega Genesis, a Sega CD combo set up here as well, play some retro stuff on this awesome TV. I'll show you the systems over there. There's the Xbox Series X. There's my Mega Drive Sega CD combo with the big arcade stick. And there's my Switch and a Wii U. You can barely see over there. So this is the smart table. So what this thing is, it's basically a whole bunch of stuff. It links up with Bluetooth to the TV. And it's got massive speakers out each side over there and at the front over here and on this side, and it gives you super cool sound. It also doubles as a fridge. This is a fridge drawer. That's where I keep chocolate milks, obviously, great stuff, water, Gatorade, and these biscuit things we're always munching on. So that's pretty cool. Over here we got some drawers. This is where I just keep extra peripherals and controllers, and more down here, different ones for whatever system. Everything we've got set up here. You control everything by this dashboard, and you can put on USB lights underneath. There's actually the green light under there. You can't see it now, but when all the lights are off, it glows underneath, so it's pretty cool. You can change the sound volume, set the time, all that kind of stuff. On the side of this thing is very useful. It's got a bunch of USB connections. Can connect your phone or controllers to charge them. Yeah, I've got some charging. It's also got a massive plug in here, regular plug, which you can use. I'm plugging it so I can use this light. It's got one on each side. It's extremely useful when I'm making videos, so it acts as like a power deck as well. So that is pretty cool. And let's have a look up here. This is a whole bunch of pop culture stuff again. I'll go through this in more detail in the section tours. I got the Persona Boxed Edition over there, Hard Target, that's the UK version, the uncut version of that movie. The Ghostbusters sign here, Cobra on VHS. There's Streets of Rage. I got that printed off Etsy onto like a canvas. Supergirl. Up there's got a whole lot more games. That Art of Atari book is excellent. Got Fatal Fury 2 there, AES game, and I've got Star Trek Borg, and I've got another Fatal Fury game there. That's for the Sharp 6800. That's most of the stuff in the main gaming area. Let's move on over to this miscellaneous area right by the entrance. So these two areas over here is a little bit of a miscellaneous. I'll give you an idea of where this is. As you come down, we walked across and looked at all the games and went all the way around this room. But if you go back over here by the entrance and you go right over here, this is where this is. So what this is I've got a VHS player here. We can also watch VHS on here, movies. And I've got lots of minis set up here. I've got a Genesis Mini, I've got a PS1 Mini, and I've got a retro bit over here. This is for playing arcade games. We play them all on here. It's all linked up. You just turn on the system and it comes on. There's a bit of Dynamite Heady over there. Also got a bunch of VHSs here. You can grab these and slap them in over here and just watch it straight on you. As soon as it goes in, it just automatically picks it up and starts playing it.
Got it.
And on the shelf next to it, this is kind of like a little bit of a movie shelf, but it's more to do with anime and that kind of stuff. As you can see, got a Robotech Veritech Fighter here, a bunch of Ultraman series I'm busy collecting, and some Godzilla movies. Got a Power Ranger I found at a thrift store. Some anime here, a whole bunch of cool stuff. Persona, like I said, I'm a big fan of that. Samurai Pizza Cats and Cowboy Bebop. And these are a little bit of a more obscure movies, like some Wes Anderson movies that I really like. I've got some Army of Darkness and Evil Dead and some Troma stuff, which I'm a big fan of. I've got Akira on Blu-ray, some Robotech collection, and Black Lagoon. There's a poster for Monaco GP, the original arcade game that came out in the late 70s. I got that printed because I really enjoyed when I was making the 70s documentary about arcades. I just love that poster. I think it looks super cool. And below the anime stuff is a random shelf. These are games that just don't have any place anywhere else. I've just got small collections of them. So I got some 3DO stuff, Demolition Man, Wing Commander, and a few other ones over there. I got a Jaguar CD. I got freaking Highlander. I don't even have a Jaguar CD, but I got this for super cheap at a convention, so why not? And I got some Intellivision stuff here. These were all found at thrift stores, and I'm pretty happy to have found those. It's amazing. They're all boxed. And yeah, some more Neo Geo stuff. I got some NVS carts, Puzzle Bobble, King of the Fighters 2003, Fatal Fury 3, which is pretty cool. I used to have an NVS arcade machine. That's a long story. It's very cool having arcade machines, but they are big and bulky, heavy, and hard to move around. And to be honest, the fact that it's gone is a bit of a relief. Over here, I got some Philips CDI games. I bought those online for super cheap. I'm glad I got them. As you can see, some Cinemaware stuff. And then squished into this corner is a couple of PCFX games. I really love the kind of boxes on these games. I bought these off eBay for super cheap. This is Battle Heat. And I don't have a system to play them on, but I just love the look of them, and I love collecting Japanese import games, so I got those. And this one is just a Sharp X6800 game. This is Deathbringer. Pretty cool as well. It's fully complete. I'm a sucker for Japanese RPG games. I just love trying them out. And then there's something a lot of you guys might be interested in. This is my boxed Super Famicom collection. I got quite a few games. I don't know how many, but there's a lot here. A lot of these I got from that dude that came back from Japan. Again, I got most of these for between $5 and $15 each. I got some super good deals. There's a ton of classic games in here. If you look carefully, I'm not going to go through them all. There's just a lot. There's way too many. Tons of Squaresoft games there. You know, got stuff like Front Mission. If you look here, these are boxed and they're in excellent condition. They have manuals, they got everything all complete. You know, here's Godzilla, that chunky fighting game, and I got an Ultima game here, False Prophet, also very cool to have, and many others. So I love collecting for this system, especially box games. I'm not a big fan of collecting loose Super Famicom games, but if I can find boxed ones, I'm always on the lookout for cool titles. So because this section is actually in the hallway, it's kind of hard to film here. There's not a lot of space. It's just for walking through and picking up games. So we'll go section by section, just run down all of them, and then we'll get to the end, which is a completely different section down there. So I've got some box stuff at the top, if you can see there. I'm not going to go through all that. It's just a whole bunch of boxes. Most of them are empty. I've got the stuff outside and using them. So this first shelf, PS2 collection. I've got lots and lots of fighting games here, and Here's some more, a whole bunch of them. 90% of these games I picked up in thrift stores. You can find PS2 games like crazy. They're getting a little bit rarer these days. I don't find them as often, but there's still quite a lot. These are all Japanese version games. I got those at conventions. Just really strange titles or ones I'm just willing to mess around with. And if you go down to the next layer, this is more PS2 stuff. So here's like a bunch of shoot 'em up games, more like Flight Simulator kind of shoot 'em up kind of stuff. Here is a whole bunch of compilations. You can see there's a lot of really cool ones here. These are kind of like turn-based strategy kind of games. And over here I've got the whole selection of sports games. That's all the sports games I got for PS2, which is so minimal if you think about it. I'm not a big sports game fan. I've got some weird ones at the end there, some puzzly things. But yeah, I've got some Hot Shots Golf, Outlaw Tennis, SSX games, just ones I really like. There's a lot of cool games in here. There's too many to even talk about. Front Mission 4, super excellent. I love these collections. That Taito Legends one, the Namco Museum stuff, Metal Slug Anthology, gotta love it. Lots of other great games in here. And this next one down is the PSX collection. If you're not familiar with that, the PSX is what the PlayStation 1 was called in Japan. So these are all Japanese games. I picked up most of these also for super cheap. Got this cool collector's edition of Galarians, which is awesome. Got a lot of cool RPGs, as you can see. RPGs are pretty cheap if you buy the Japanese versions, because they're a dime a dozen in Japan. Got 1,000 arms there. My favorite Japanese title of all time, not Treasure Hunter. Is that the best title for a game you've ever heard? I always bring this one up, it's just hilarious. I've got other like cool stuff, you know, big ones like Clock Tower 2, Parasite Eve, and a whole bunch of Capcom stuff. Tons and tons of Capcom stuff there. A lot of fighters, lots of strategy games over here. Like, also got this like Street Fighter, the interactive movie. This is a Japan-only game as far as I know, as far as I remember anyway. It's super weird. It's part anime, part sort of fighting. It's bizarre. It was only released in Japan. So all these games, when we do the section tours, I'll be going through everything in a lot more detail, and we'll be checking out every single game. But for now, we're just going through this pretty quickly because there's just too many to cover. Let's go down to the next level. So this is the PS1 section. These are all North American PS1 games. 90% of these I picked up in thrift stores again. Some of them were at conventions, so I'd say 70% thrift store, 30% conventions for these ones. I don't think I bought any of these online. PS1 is pretty nostalgic for me. There's a lot of great titles. The Soviet and Nuclear Strike, I did a video on those dudes. Great selection of games, and it's a pretty big mix. I've got lots of arcade games, there's RPGs, there's a bit of everything. Star Ocean, absolutely love that game. I've got some of the big old box style stuff. This is pretty cool, this is unique. This is a Japanese game, I just didn't have a space up there. That's Quest for Fame, the Aerosmith game. This is an awesome rhythm game. This came out on PC in North America, but it was never released on the PlayStation 1 here in outside of Japan, as far as I know. I don't know if it got a European release, but it comes with the pick and everything, so you can like strum like a guitar. This is one of the first rhythm games I ever played, music rhythm games I ever played. I played it on my PC originally. Lots of other cool stuff here. Die Hard trilogy, absolutely love that. Dino Crisis, Metal Gear, obviously. I got Luna Silver Star Story complete. That actually is complete. Lots of other cool stuff here. And it's back to lying on the floor again, and this is the Atari section. It's the only place I could put these. So a lot of these, I've got a lot of the original box games in the original boxes, which is kind of cool. Got those at conventions for dirt cheap. All these ones down here, these were all loose Atari games, just like this, just loose cartridges. And basically I just put them in universal boxes and printed covers to make them look cooler. So I've managed to pick up a lot of the good old classics that I used to have when I used to have Atari 2600 as a kid. So I'm pretty happy with this selection. As you can see, there's a lot of the the big ones and the usual suspects. Got them for mostly pretty cheap at conventions. Here's some of the actual real box stuff, which is kind of nice. This is a 7800 version of Dig Dug. Also got Karateka, Tron, Yar's Revenge, and Phoenix. These games are in such nice condition. Again, got them for super cheap. Okay, so we just finished with this shelf over here. We're now moving on to this big section. This is a lot of Xbox 360, PS2 stuff. Okay, so let's check out this top shelf. This is all 360 games, all the way over there. So we've got a whole bunch of like kind of action adventure games, Assassin's Creed kind of stuff. These are all action kind of games, kind of like open world kind of things. And here we've got a whole bunch of first person shooters all over the place. Yes, I bought that. I know it's a piece of rubbish, but I bought it anyway. And there's a whole lot of Halo games and Far Cry and Fear and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a big fan of Battlefield games. These are just the ones I bought originally. Battlefield Bad Company 2 is super cool if you play it in single player. It's such a good single player game. Battlefield 3 is where my love of the series ended, so Hardline was completely different. It was a cop basically game. It's got nothing to do with Battlefield at all. But the games on the shelf I love the most are this little selection at the end here. These are all Japanese 360 exclusive games. A lot of them by Cave. You'll notice them if you're a shoot 'em up fan. I'll just show them quickly off here. And yeah, that's all of them. I got most of these, bought all of these on eBay back in the day when I actually had money and they weren't as expensive as they are now, and they were all at least 30 to 60 bucks each, so they weren't cheap, but I'm glad I got them when I got them because they're such a good selection of games. And let's go down to the next level here. This is more 360 stuff, another big chunk here. I also got some horror games here, lots of ones I really love. Deadly Premonition, absolutely love that game. These are more horror related. Resident Evil Revelations, the Dead Space series, some Silent Hill, Splatterhouse, super cool. Devil May Cry, Castlevania, Lords of Shadow. Tons of good games there. This section is a little bit more like, more of these open world kind of action adventure games. As you can see, tons of them. Bloodstone, that's a super cool game. And Bioshock, Fallout, some Grand Theft Auto stuff. Over here is continuing on with the action stuff. You can see this is pretty Shadow of the Damned. Absolutely love this game, it's so underrated. Suda 51. Space Marine, that's also pretty great. And lots of other ones here. Vanquish, that's awesome. And over here we got some more. It just keeps on going. Bayonetta, one of my favorites of all time. And Stranglehold, super underrated. Tons of other good ones. This Captain America game is surprisingly good. Alan Wake, that's excellent, by Remedy. Way of the Samurai, really underrated as well. There's a lot of great games on the 360 if you've never used this system at all. There's a lot of gems you can find for really, really cheap, so it's a good sort of system to collect for. And let's go down to the next level. This is more PS2 games. There is a ton of them here. So over here we got more like, more action-y kind of games. That X-Files game is awesome. Primal, very underrated. Tons here. Destroy All Humans. Lots of other great games here. Up here we got more of the kind of action style games. Bear in mind, a lot of these games I found in thrift stores for absolutely nothing. I can't believe how lucky I was. And Red Dead Revolver, that's super cool. Shinobi, Okage, that's a good kind of action RPG kind of thing. So is that Nightmare Before Christmas, the original Yakuza, and Scarface, gotta love it. Over here is a bunch of horror games. Got quite a lot of them. Devil May Cry's, we got some The Thing, Clock Tower 3, super Killer 7, awesome. Siren, Silent Hill 2, classic. These Evil Dead games are fun. The first Buffy the Vampire Slayer game is really good. This is the second one, unfortunately. I've got the first one on Xbox Original though. And over here, this is a whole bunch of more action games. Got some Tomb Raider stuff here. Yeah, I do have Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, which is one of the worst games I've ever played in my life. I just got that as a reminder of how bad games can actually get. Win back, these are underrated. So those Headhunter games. There's a whole bunch of Onimusha. That's the Onimusha collections. There's another Grand Theft Auto trilogy collection up there. And this is the RPG and weird game shelf. I've got a lot of PS2 RPGs, as you can see. Trying to get down here so you can see a little bit better. Got the Xenosaga, got the whole thing. I got lots of Persona and Shin Megami Tensei games. Like I said earlier, I love those series. Some Wild Arms and Final Fantasy. Yeah, it's just tons and tons of good RPGs. The Shadowheart games are awesome. Monkey Island, I love it. And over here, more RPGs, Fullmetal Alchemist, Star Ocean, Rogue Galaxy, you know, just endless all the way up there. Over here is a little bit, some James Bond games. These PS2 era James Bond games are really good as far as I'm concerned. They really captured the essence of the movies. Super Monkey Ball, Ape Escape, a bunch of weird games. Over there's leftover games. There's some, just like kind of action mascot-y kind of things. You got Sly Cooper and Ratchet and Clank, stuff like that. Some Prince of Persia, the Getaway games, both those gangster ones, those British gangster games. Both of the true crime games also up there. So it's kind of a big mixture of games on this level. And we're down to the final level here, right at the bottom. This is more PS2 stuff, as you can see, all the way over there. And a little bit of PS3 in the corner. So yeah, we've got a bunch of racing games, and there's Outrun there, Coast to Coast. It's one of the best arcade racing games ever made. And you got Smuggler's Run and some Burnout games. Over here, we've got Midnight Club, Crazy Taxi, some Simpsons games, lots of other good ones. Over here, this is first-person shooters. I haven't got a lot of them. I'm not a huge fan of them. Just pick them up whenever I find something interesting. Time Splitters there is pretty great. No One Lives Forever. It's definitely not as good as the PC version, but still decent. There's a Hitman trilogy I found not so long ago. Here's some more of the Medal of Honor and Brothers in Arms and all those kind of things. And over there is my pitiful PS3 collection. Anyway, these are a few games I've just come across over the years, which I thought were pretty cool. I just wanted to have them. Okay, so we just finished this shelf over here. Now we're just moving on to the final big section before we look over there. And on the top here, we've got 360 games all the way across there. So this is the RPG and racing section. As you can see, RPGs and strategy games. Operation Darkness, one of my favorites of all time. Tales of Vesperia, super excellent. Resonance of Fate is so underrated. And we've got more over here. These are more of the common stuff like Dragon Age, Mass Effect, and that kind of stuff. And yeah, we've got some Dragon's Dogma, excellent. And the special edition of The Witcher 2. Absolutely love this game, so good. And over here, in this little area over here, this is all my Xbox 360 racing games. Got some Forza stuff here. Ridge Racer, Project Gotham, Sega Rally, Revo. I got some Forza Horizon up here, and some destruction game like Full Auto. Over here is just Need for Speed games, a whole bunch of them. And the next level down here is a whole bunch of kind of stranger games, a little bit of mix of everything. So we start off, some more of my shoot 'em up collection. This is Artemidius Excellent. And I got some more shoot 'em ups here. These are shoot 'em ups that were released in English. That's why I put them over here. All over here, Akai Katana, excellent game. Dodonpachi Resurrection. I think this was a PAL. Yeah, it's a PAL UK release. I had to import that one. But it still was released in English. And Raiden Fighters and all that. I might as well just start on this side. And over here, Dead or Alive 5. Killer is Dead. It's another Suda51 game. That is super bizarre. I love that guy's games. And I got some compilations over there, which are always cool. He has a bit of kind of flight simulator kind of games or simulation games. These are a bunch of mech games. I love those mech games. Those Battle Station, Pacific and Midway are really good. These are strategy games, so Civilization Revolution is awesome, XCOM, Enemy Unknown, wow, what a great game. And over here, these are fighting games, versus fighting games. I absolutely love these on the 360. Street Fighter vs. Tekken, super cool. Dead or Alive 4. I've got some Persona, Arena, King of Fighters, whole bunch of stuff. This is a steelbook case for Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Definitely not the best of the series, but anyway. And over here is my pitiful collection of sports games again. Not much. Probably the best one out here is probably Virtua Tennis 4. I absolutely love that. I played the hell out of it. Some okay stuff here. Now we're going to go down to the last 3 shelves. 1, 2, and 3. These are all Xbox original stuff. So I got a lot. Xbox original stuff again was just like PS2. I found them in thrift stores like crazy over the last 10 years, but they kind of become pretty rare recently to find out in the wild. They're definitely not as common. I still find them, but definitely not as common, especially all these kind of weird titles. Like, you're probably not going to be finding House of the Dead 3 in a thrift store anymore. I mean, you can always find anything in a thrift store, to be honest, but, you know, it's just not as common to find that now. So these are all kind of first-person shooters kind of games, all those ones. These are some more of them. As you can see, just a ton of titles here. All these Rainbow Six games. I don't think I'll ever actually play these. I've played a few of them. I might get rid of some of these because I have no real attachment to them. And down here I've got some Far Cry games and stuff like that. Next we go to the Versus section. A whole bunch of Versus games here. These I really love. Capcom vs. SNK 2, super cool. Dead or Alive Ultimate, played that like crazy online. But some wrestling games are pretty good on this. Spark Out, that's pretty rare. I got that for super cheap. I don't think the guy knew what he had. Def Jam, those things are worth a lot. And here is the whole bunch of racing games, all the way down there and there. Reckless, I absolutely love that. My daughter was playing LA Rush the other day. Crazy Taxi 3. Some more Project Gotham, Midnight Run, Burnout. A lot of this stuff I've got on the PS2 as well, but the Xbox versions were actually better as far as I'm concerned. Some more Need for Speed games. There's actually quite a few games here that I don't have for the PS2, so that's why I got them on 360. Some Test Drive and some MotoGP stuff over here. And down to the next level. This is kind of like, you know, vehicle like flight simulators and kind of controlling mechs and that kind of thing. All those ones over there, some pretty cool titles. Those Mech Assault games are really good. Panzer Dragoon Auto, I love that. And these are some of these Bond games. I've got a few ones that I don't have on PS2, so that's always cool. Russia with Love, that's pretty good. Over here we got a whole bunch of Star Wars games. I'm not a massive Star Wars fan. Like I said earlier, I'm more of a Star Trek dude, but there's some pretty decent ones in here. And here's my pitiful Xbox kind of sports section, very small. Of course, I got Outlaw Golf, some SSX, Amped. That's basically Microsoft's version of SSX, but just more realistic. And here is a whole bunch of compilations. There's some really good ones here. I love this Capcom Classics one. It's got so many good games. I mean, look at all those classic arcade games. And I got some more Taito Legends, Mega Man, Sonic Collection. I got some weird games here that don't fit in with anything. That Pirates, that Sid Meier one that released in the early 2000s based on the PC one. This Xbox version is extremely good. Totally recommend getting it. And here is a bunch of RPGs. These are action RPGs and traditional RPGs on the Xbox original. And you got all the big hitters. Morrowind, play that for hours, that game. I got this really bizarre Shin Megami Tensei game that was only released in Japan. It's called Nan. It's not a very common one to find. Pretty happy to have that. I got that for pretty cheap as well. And some more Kingdom Under Fire, Knights of the Old Republic, you know, all those kind of things. There's a little Grand Theft Auto corner with some Ninja Turtle games, TMNT, and yeah, these little box sets are really cool. It's got Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City. Very nice. And let's go down to the last level. This is really hard to film at. I'm kind of lying on my side. It's really hard to show you exactly how many games are down here. Trying to get a decent shot. Anyway, so we've got just a whole mix of stuff here. Metal Gear, Gun Valkyrie, it's really good. That 50 Cent Bulletproof is cheesy fun. The 360 one's way better, Blood on the Sand. But anyway, and Rain of Fire, that's actually surprisingly good. Armed and Dangerous, there's the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer game, which is really cool. The sequel is kind of lame. Obscure, that's really good. Over here I got Robin Hood Defender of the Crown. That's the remake of Defender of the Crown, if you don't know. Fatal Frame 2, I got that from a game store recently. Again, I traded a whole bunch of trash and I got that. I got that and Spy vs. Spy. I remember getting both those at the same time. Those Evil Dead games are surprisingly fun. And a whole bunch of other stuff down here. Some pretty good titles. This pile over here, Cold Fear. This is a really good game. It's so underrated. If you ever come across this, you should check it out. It's like a Resident Evil kind of game set on a boat. And this Castlevania, Curse of Darkness, is super cool. I definitely recommend that. They've got the Blinks games, those are fun. Those X-Men Legends are really good. The Suffering 1 and 2, both of those, awesome games. And there's some Tom Clancy stuff, many Splinter Cell and stuff like that. Got the 2 Blood Rain games, really good action games. Max Payne 1 and 2. The Lord of the Rings and Spider-Man, some more generic stuff, but still pretty good stuff.
So trying to film in this area was really difficult because I couldn't go back far enough. I've tried to show it as best as I can. I've got a bit of a better view here with this wide-angle lens. Shooting the close-ups with a wide-angle lens, however, looks absolutely terrible, so I try to avoid it. Anyway, let's move on to this end here.
And there's not a lot of space here, so just get past there, and this is obviously what I call the Nintendo section. Okay, so this Nintendo section's at the end of the hall here. As you can see, I got all NES games all down there. Those are all NES games, just a whole bunch of stuff. All these games I got for dirt cheap, between $5 and $10 each. I put them in universal game cases just to make them look cooler. They were all loose. I've got the Wii U, got a Mario little remote control up there. This is the Japanese version of Super Mario 64. I got that with a bundle when I traded a bunch of stuff with some dude. I was really happy to get that. Here's some more Famicom box games. I've got Legend of Kage, based on the arcade game. Here's a Thunderbirds game. Who knew they made that? I wasn't even aware. Let's go down to the first section here. This is N64 and Wii U and some leftover NES games. I got a lot of NES games. So N64 was never a favorite system of mine. There's a handful of games which I really enjoyed. A lot of them are here. See some wrestling games there, a lot of good wrestling games actually. Star Wars Racer, obviously, that was a great game when it originally came out. Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, love that. Perfect Dark, great. I don't own one single N64 game besides that Japanese version that are actually in real boxes. These are all just universal game cases. These are all loose games I picked up, and I printed these out and put them in there. I just like it to have it on that, to have them on a shelf like that. And here's some more NES games. This is actually a real boxed NES game. I haven't got a lot of those. I've got mainly ones loose that are in universal game cases. Lots of good titles. Here's a good old Wii U section. Not a lot, but these are all quality games nevertheless. It's kind of an underrated system. Deserved a lot more. Tokyo Mirage Sessions is excellent. So Xenoblade Chronicles X. And obviously Wind Waker, it's a tough game. I played that originally on GameCube. This is easier than that version for sure. Bayonetta 2, obviously, got to get that. If we go down to this next level, this is mainly just NES stuff. I've got a Game Boy Pocket there with the Game Boy camera that works perfectly. I've also got the printer with the link cables, so I got that for super cheap when they were selling a bunch of stuff at a game store, so I was lucky. This is an NES. Whenever you see a system on a shelf in my collection, that means it doesn't work. I would never put working systems on shelves. I don't like wasting that kind of thing, so this doesn't work, so I just put it on display. That's Maniac Mansion. I got that at a convention actually. That was a cool find. And it's a bunch of RPGs and action RPGs. Got more Ultimate action happening here, Ultimate Exodus. That's pretty cool. Lots of games hidden behind here if you want to see them quickly. A lot of good titles. A lot of stuff based on actually computer games that I played on my Commodore 64. That's the things I usually go for. I like to see the differences. Of course, I'm a Star Trek fan, so got this. This is a real boxed version. But got that at a game store in Calgary here in Alberta, so that's pretty cool. A whole bunch more of like RPG or action RPG kind of games. The next shelf down is definitely arcade games, arcade conversions. 90% of them are arcade games. So I got all, Gauntlet, Shinobi, Renegade, just Operation Wolf, Elevator Action, just tons of cool stuff. Gradius, super cool. Bionic Command is quite a good version of it, even though it's its own thing. Mappy Land, Narc, Double Dragon, a bit of everything here. Silkworm. Over here is a bunch of kind of like Mario related games, Mario 3, Super Mario Brothers, Punch Out, that kind of junk. And down below is my GameCube collection. This whole collection, not one of these games did I buy from an actual convention. All of these were found in thrift stores. These were found in about 2010 to about 2012. These games are just being unloaded into thrift stores, just like PS2 and Xbox original stuff, and I just picked them up for like basically $1 or $2 each. And these games are all worth a mint now. I don't really care how much. Again, I don't care how much they're worth. I'm just mentioning that I found these for dirt nothing. And unfortunately, you can't find GameCube games like this anymore. These are really hard to find. Anyway, a whole bunch of stuff. There's some good titles here, some average stuff. I still found one the other day. I found Killer 7, that's a good version on that. Luigi's Mansions, my daughter's favorite game on the GameCube. And there's a bunch of Mario related stuff, a whole bunch of cool stuff. These Rogue Leader and Rebel Strike, fantastic games. So these Resident Evil remakes, totally worth it. And some more, a little bit more generic GameCube stuff. Custom Robo, I don't remember where I found that. It was definitely a thrift store, I'm pretty sure. Here's a Japanese version of Tales of Symphonia. It's kind of cool the way they have like such small little boxes for these things. I mean, look how small it is compared to a regular box. It's almost like a Switch version, just fatter. There's Link's Crossbow. I found that in a thrift store as well. Here's some more NES games. Those are kind of like sports games. As usual, my sports game collection is very small. And the final part of the Nintendo section is the Wii selection. You're probably thinking, this is all just shovelware garbage. Surprisingly, there is a lot of good Wii games out there. You just got to really look for them and, do your homework. There's a couple of shovelware titles in here, definitely, but mostly these are pretty good titles. A lot of Mario stuff there, Monkey Ball, a whole bunch of some Metroid games. Over here we got No More Heroes 1 and 2 and those excellent Trauma Center games made by Atlas, Skycrawlers and Pandora's Tower, fantastic. That's Sakura Wars, Lost Story, those are all excellent. So there's a lot of good games. The Wii also has excellent selection of light gun games if you're interested, like House of the Dead collection over there, like 2 and 3, you got the Mad Dog McCree and Resident Evil. Super cool light gun games. And over here we got some compilations, the good old compilation selection, bunch of stuff. Zack and Wiki, super underrated. And these are a little bit more generic and easier to find games. And over there is just the rest of them. That Indiana Jones game is absolutely terrible, unfortunately, but it does have Fate of Atlantis, the point-and-click adventure game, as a hidden bonus on that disc, so that makes it totally worth buying just for that.
So this finishes off the Nintendo section. I have to shoot this with a wide-angle lens because I'm coming around this corner, as you can see. A whole lot of other stuff over here. Let's look at this first, and this is what I call basically the book section.
So before we have a look at all these books and stuff, let me just cut back to here again, and you can see the entrance. You can see it much better now. There's some games up top there. And these are movie posters and VHSs. I just made like a little display here. It's just a fun little way to introduce this section. And these posters, these little mini ones, these are called chirashis. These are Japanese movie posters that you get given when you go to the cinema. It's kind of like as a bonus for going to the cinema, I guess. You get these little collectible posters, and that's where all of these ones come from. Inland Empire, I'm a big David Lynch fan. You got George Romero's The Crazies. You got some VHSs. And you got Sukiyaki Western Django. Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, Lost in Translation, excellent movie, Invasion USA, absolute cheese, but I love it. The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, excellent, Young Guns, and David Lynch's Lost Highway. So it's just a whole bunch of ones that I've collected over the years. I put them on display there. So we'll start at the top. There's a few big box PC games and V on VHS, the original miniseries. Up top there is just a whole bunch of novels, just leftover stuff. These are all things I found in thrift stores for a couple dollars. A whole bunch of William Gibson novels, Douglas Adams, all that kind of stuff. A whole bunch of Star Wars and Dragonlance, Dungeons & Dragons stuff. So this first shelf here, this is just a whole bunch of manga. This is all obviously English manga that's been translated. I've got Triange, I was busy reading that. I got up to 8, never finished it. I've got to finish it. Gunsmith Cats, again, I'm a big fan of this. I'm a big fan of Kenichi Sanada, his work. I just think his stuff is excellent. I actually got to meet him at a convention in Seattle, and I got him to sign this original Japanese version. There it is, Kenichi Sanada, 2014. Yeah, some more manga-related stuff, although I have got some James Stakko stuff in here as well. Not really manga, but doesn't really fit in with anything else. It's just weird. Some more Kenichi Sanada. This is Cannon God X Axion. It's kind of a cool series. It never finished as far as I could figure out. I don't know whether it was just the English translation they never finished it, or the original Japanese version never finished. Who knows? I got some Ghost in the Shell, got the original Japanese version and the English translated version, which is pretty cool. This shelf has got a whole bunch of awesome stuff here. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja collections. These are just absolutely beautiful. You should definitely check these out if you're a fan. They're just done so well. Got a bunch of volumes of Tank Girl there. I found that Cuphead in a Chapters, which is like a bookstore over here in Canada. I was pretty happy to find this. A whole bunch of issues of Empowered by Adam Warren. I got those signed. Got the Wes Anderson collection of movies. I'm a big fan of his movies, so I had to get that. This is just a whole mixture of graphic novels and stuff like that. Almost all of these are signed when I went to conventions. I got them signed by the artists, which is pretty cool, like Bruce Timm. And I got Gail Simone to sign the Batgirl. I got Brandon Graham to sign King City, all that kind of stuff. So that's a lot of cool stuff I'll never get rid of. And this next shelf has a ton of 2080 stuff. If you obviously, little Baby Dredd there. Whole bunch of Judge Dredd volumes. I got some Rogue Trooper, which is fantastic as well. Nemesis the Warlock, Bad Company, ABC Warrior. All the usual suspects for 2080. Over here is a whole bunch of just random stuff. I got the first volume of Akira in English. I got this one actually signed by Stan Sakai, this Usagi Yojimbo. He's the creator of the whole series. There we are, Stan Sakai. I also got him to sign my Commodore 64 video game, which is pretty cool. I forgot to actually show that. Anyway, some more manga related stuff. High School of the Dead. This George Lucas book is actually really cool. Came out in the mid-90s. Happened to find it in a thrift store not so long ago. Really surprised because it's worth a lot of money, but got it for a few bucks, so awesome. This next shelf is just pure graphic novels and kind of art books. I got rid of most of my graphic novels because I'd read them all and I had just too many. It would have been like 4 of these shelving units just full of them, but I just got rid of them, traded them, and I got some other stuff. Tobin Spirit Guard, Ghostbusters, I think that's pretty cool. Over here is just obviously ones I've decided to keep. Saga, I've actually got the first issue signed, so that's pretty cool. And I just decided to keep these ones. I really like them. I've read most of them. Archie vs. Predator, got to keep that. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of art books. These are all fantastic. This Master of the Universe one is awesome if you're into that. and Grindhouse. That's the making of the Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino movies. And down at the bottom here, it's pretty hard to see. Got some Dune. I got a whole bunch of Tintin collections. These are really nice little compact versions where they compress a few of the books into like these smaller versions, so it makes them easier to read if you want to like collect a whole bunch of them. This Captain America one by Ed Brubaker is absolutely excellent. It's a whole story, fantastic. Can't recommend that enough if you want to try out some comic book stuff. And I've got Seconds by Brian Lee O'Malley, who did Scott Pilgrim. That's actually very good. Some Douglas Adams, H.P. Lovecraft, and a bunch of just generic kind of autobiography kind of things. I got some Bruce Campbell books, which are great. I got those both signed as well by Bruce Campbell. I got I Am Spock. Unfortunately, I never got to meet Leonard Nimoy. And there's some books over there I still got to sort out, so just ignore that. A lot of Tintin books and Asterix and stuff like that. And that pretty much covers this little book section. I'm going to step aside and let you go in here and let the camera spin around so you can get a little bit of a lay of the land of this whole next room. Okay, so let's start off on this little corner over here. This is what I call So let's check out the top first. There's a whole bunch of big box PC games up there. I'm not going to go through everything. You can see for yourself what they are. A bit of VHSs also in there. Over here, just quickly, I got a whole bunch of action figures. Those are all those reaction things. They were made, you know, for toys that never got original kind of action figures, or like newer stuff that is just kind of cool to collect. I kind of pick a few of them up every once in a while when I go to conventions. They're usually about $10 each, so it's not a big investment. Got old Toxie up there, Snake. There's just so many good characters up here, so I just love collecting those whenever I can. So let's get back to this. So this is the magazine section. This houses all my retro gamers and Nintendo powers. I've got a lot of them. Up here I've got my Zap 64 annuals. I just keep them up there because they're too big to fit in here. As you can see, just issues of Retro Gamer. This whole thing spins around, which is pretty cool. So it holds so many magazines, as you can see, just tons and tons of them all over the place. And I put these little, I put the VHSs in here to hold these magazines in place. And I put little pops all over the place. As you can see, VHSs. Little Thor over there, and down below here I got all Nintendo powers. I got these all from one person. I bought like a massive collection. I got it for like about $50 for about 100 issues, which is crazy. These things are worth a lot of money. Most of them are in good condition. Some of them are a bit beat up, but most of them were actually really, really good. So I've got tons and tons of them all over the place here. And the rest of them are all Retro Gamer. Collect that as much as I can. Whenever I see it, I always pick those up. They're excellent. And this next section is just a whole lot of console setup. So how I've tried to set this up in this room is to make it as convenient as possible, not only to play, but also to record footage. So all these are set up. All I have to do is just flick one switch and I can both record and play any one of these systems. Here we've got a Sega Saturn Japanese version. There's Street Fighter Alphas on there. And yeah, we got a American Dreamcast. I've actually got a Japanese one as well. I just got this one out now because I've been playing some American games recently. Over here I've got a Super Famicom, and over here I've got a GameCube with the Game Boy Advance adapter, which is pretty cool. So my daughter comes down here and chooses a game and messes around with them every once in a while. This is also easy for me to capture footage without any hassle. I like capturing it from original hardware if possible. If not possible, then no big deal. I have got HDMI connections for all of these systems. Those two share the same one, those two on their own ones, so That's why I can capture these and they can look actually pretty good as opposed to looking like real dumpster fires when you try to capture with AV connections. Yeah, some little memorabilia, you know, from Cowboy Bebop, Stay Puft. I got a little Lego John Wick dude there. Dungeon Dragons starter kit, Toonstruck, excellent PC game. And let's flip on over to this little corner. I'll show it quickly here. Okay. And yeah, we got a whole bunch of more stuff on the shelf. Big box PC games and VHSs, some C64 stuff. Lots of stuff I just really love. Have on display, Sailor Moon there. And up here, I got this cool poster from a Retro Gamer issue. That's Deckard's gun from Blade Runner. And Toxic Crusader, the cartoon series. That's a bunch of soundtracks to games. I'm actually going to put them on there on the beginning by the entrance where I said I was going to put them. Haven't put them there yet. Here's another little shelf. Got Tron and Desperado and Dragon Wars. What a cool game. And this little section is also for capturing game footage, as you can see. And over here, and just messing around. It's got a Power 4 and 3. I got Lords of Thunder here playing through there. Have some fun. I got a PS4 over here, and like I said earlier, I just don't seem to ever get around to playing PS4 games, but I do get to use it as a Blu-ray player, which is pretty bad, but anyway. This is Drive-In Delirium. This is part of a series. These are showing trashy old, you know, kind of trailers for garbage movies. I'll absolutely love this. You should check the series out. I've only got one volume. I'm going to get some more of them. I love it so much. And over here you can see I've got a PS2 and I've got a PS1, the small little version. This is actually a PSX, a Japanese version. I use it to play all my Japanese games, and as well it's got a mod chip so you can play burnt games like there. And this is actually my original memory card from 1996, I believe, my Final Fantasy one. It's got all my old save games, which is pretty cool. Just still got that thing still kicking around. PS2, both of these, again, everything's got HDMI connections at the back there, so I can pick, like, you know, I can get the best quality I can for at least those old systems, make them look fairly decent. And moving over into this little middle section here, this is a poster I got for Hard Boiled, one of my favorite action movie of all time, John Woo classic, absolute perfection. Over here is a recent edition. I showed this on my social media recently. It's like a modern kind of, you know, cassette deck, plays cassettes, some of my old cassettes here. Plays these old suckers, of course, and that's a radio. You can play MP3s, got Bluetooth connection. Somebody said this brand is absolute rubbish, but I don't really care. This serves my purpose really well. It just plays cassettes. It sounds okay. It doesn't sound horrendous. It sounds fine. Its radio stations sound good. MP3s sound decent. You know, it's just something for the room. It looks cool and it plays music while I'm editing, so that's all I really wanted. That's a little cut from Trash Taste. It's a podcast. If you don't know about that, check that out. Good old Trash Taste. I love that. And over here is my C64 Maxi. So I got my original one outside there, you know, in the other room by the retro section. This one I use for capturing footage for the most part. I also use VAS on my computer over there, but over here, this is mainly for capturing footage of games that use a lot of Commodore 64 keyboard action. So if I'm going to capture it for RPGs or flight simulators, stuff like that, I want to use the original Commodore 64 layout because I know how to play those games. So it just makes it easier using VAS to capture RPGs and that, and trying to use a PC keyboard with the layout that's different. It can be a real pain. So that's what I'd mainly use that for. But all the other Commodore footage I usually capture with VAS for arcadey kind of games. This thing has been fantastic. I love it. I know people hate it. I couldn't care less. Again, It serves its purpose, it does everything well, it captures footage, that's what I need it for. And this is my little editing corner. This is where I spend 90% of my time when I'm down here. That's a junky IKEA chair I've had for like 10 years. I still haven't upgraded it. And anyway, and yeah, I do all my editing here, voiceovers, everything gets done here. Simple, get it done. Over there, it's just some more display stuff. Got this cool X-Men poster from the Genesis game. Some more big box PC stuff. This is Space Rogue on the X6800. Can't believe I got that. That's super cool. Some VHSs. Here's some more games and stuff. Those are doubles of my LucasArts stuff, so I wouldn't separate them from the ones I got out there. I just got doubles. I wanted to display them, so I put them up there. Laser Squad, awesomeness. Some more cool games and VHSs. Black Rain, what a great movie. Over here is my little board where I write whatever kind of episodes I'm busy working on, that kind of stuff. I got a Metal Gear Peace Walker, got that off eBay many years ago. Glad to have that. And we'll move on to this little section at the end here, the final piece. So this table over here has more stuff to capture games with. I got a 3DO over here. Unfortunately, my S-Video connector for it fried the other day, so I can't actually show you the 3DO in action. System still works fine. I just got to get another one so I can connect it up here so I can capture footage. So I can't capture footage, I can just play it right now. I got that at a gaming store also probably about a year ago. I traded a whole lot of trashy games and I got store credit and I got this 3DO. So I think that's the best way if you ever want to get high dollar stuff in thrift stores. In gaming stores, sorry. Just trade your junk. Just trade a lot of junk and you get store credit and you can get whatever you want. It's the best way to do things. Here's my original Xbox. Got some Crimson Skies going on there. And this is my original Alienware computer that I used for editing when I started this this channel. I got that. I actually had it before that, but this one is the one I edited, the first year or two, first 2 years of this channel. I edited all my videos on there. Then I upgraded to the newer Alienware over there. But anyway, so because it's got a disk drive, I use it to burn games for my PSX and my Saturn, play like really expensive games. Yeah, I can put more cartridges. I haven't used that anywhere, but that's what I use that for, so it still gets its good use. And if you look up here, we've got more stuff on display. I have some mini posters, Time Girl and Road Blaster. Those are Laserdisc games from the 80s. And Turbo, it's a Sega arcade game. And over here, this is just a nice little display, I think, of just random stuff. Johnny Mnemonic, the PC game. I got the Outrun soundtrack, and I got the soundtrack to Thunderblade and Galaxy Force 2. Got that recently at a convention. Got some Sonny Chiba movies, of course. So up there are two consoles that are broken, that's why they're on display. And I got, the Genesis and Dreamcast, and some more big box PC games and Amiga games all up there. Bunch of really cool ones. And that's pretty much all of it. Here's another cupboard. I've got a lot of stuff in there. I'm not going to show that now. That'll be more for section tours. There's also this door over here that goes into storage. Tons of stuff in here. That's all storage stuff. Christmas decorations and all that kind of nonsense. But I've also got a whole bunch of tubs full of big box PC and Amiga games in here. I've got about 5 or 6 full. So there's a couple hundred games in there. Got no more display space for them, so whatever. And over here next to these walls of games there's another door. This goes to a full bathroom and all that. I'm not going to show that either. It's got shower, bathroom, everything. It's pointless to this video, but it's all down here, so it's very convenient. And yeah, I think, wow, I'm exhausted, but I think that pretty much wraps it up for this tour. And that's it for the Big Games Room tour. Thank you for watching. Hopefully it's given you some ideas for your own games room maybe. And I'll be doing one of these each year just to, see all the changes and all the new additions. So look out for the next one in February 2023. And I just want to thank everybody that's come along for the ride right from episode 1 all the way up until this one. It's been a pretty cool journey. And thanks for joining me, Bastish B at 64K. I hope you had a good time. If you can please like and subscribe, they'll be greatly appreciated. I'll see you next time. Cheers.